Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Fiona, one of the Market Research and Insights Manager at REA. I'm delighted to be able to share with you today findings from our recent research of prospective retirement living buyers across Australia. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to thank all of you for joining us today. Whether you're tuning in from our Brisbane office or joining us online from your office or from home around the country, your presence is greatly appreciated. I have a lot of data and insights to share with you all today. Some of them may be new or surprising to you, and there may be some that you've heard of before or may be consistent with what you already know. But what we've done is pull together a holistic story and view of the retirement living journey so that by the end of today's webinar, you'll have a deep understanding of how buyers are thinking, feeling, and doing when it comes to retirement living. We'll be covering their motivations, their purchase triggers, and the decision-making process, as well as some of the common pain points and how to overcome them. We believe that this information will be valuable to anyone who's involved in the retirement living industry, whether you're a developer or marketer or sales professional. And I hope that through this webinar, you'll be able to obtain insights which will inspire new opportunities for you to consider or to give you confidence in the strategies that you've already got in place. We have reserved some time at the end of the presentation to respond to any questions you may have. So please feel free to use the chat function to ask any questions or submit any questions that you may have throughout the presentation. Let's get started. Firstly, let me provide some context regarding the potential scope of the retirement living opportunity. In Australia, there are approximately 8.5 million individuals who are 50 years of age or older. Of this group, 62% have expressed interest in exploring retirement living options at some point in the future. This translates to a staggering 5.3 million people. A portion of them will be making retirement living arrangements within the next 2 years, some within the next 3 to 5 years, others within the next 6 to 10 years, and some even further down the line. For today's webinar, we have defined retirement living to include lifestyle communities, retirement living villages and communities, as well as retirement complexes and service apartments that are dedicated to those aged 50 or 55 or above. Taking a closer look at the breakdown by states, we can see that in New South Wales alone, there are close to 2 million individuals who are contemplating a retirement living arrangement. In Victoria, this number stands at 1.2 million, while in Queensland, it is 1.1 million. Though we're just seeing a large proportion of those aged 50 plus open to retirement living options, we need to understand that they're also considering other options. So Australians aged over 55 are also contemplating just remaining in their current residence, downsizing to a smaller property or to an apartment, or moving in with other family members. So your competition isn't just other retirement living communities, but also other housing alternatives as well. Although there have been media coverage that has implied that older individuals are feeling that they're being forced to sell their homes at a low price and as a result may be hesitant to purchasing. But what we've actually seen is that buyers are expressing optimism, and we see that their sentiment towards buying has been improving over the last few months. We also saw this improving sentiments amongst buyers in our website traffic data, where we have seen a resurgence in the number of views of retirement listings. In fact, over the past 4 months, the average number of views has bounced back to levels that we saw in 2021. On average, we're currently seeing around 540,000 views on retirement listings, and there have been approximately 5,000 or 4,700 key inquiries made each month. This indicates that despite the concerns raised by the media, there's actually significant interest in the retirement living options. So now that we know the size of the opportunity, we need to understand what the target audience is thinking, feeling, and doing so that we can ensure we're engaging with them in the best possible ways. To help us develop a deep understanding of the retirement living journey and identify potential opportunities to better support this cohort, we commissioned an external research agency called TRA to conduct a two-phase research program for us. We first started off with talking to around 20 consumers. We're doing one-on-one interviews, whether that's online or even in their homes. We spoke to people that were at the start of their retirement living searching journey, and we also spoke to people that was already in the consideration stage. As well as we also spoke to those who have gone through the process in the last few years and are currently residents of the Clayfield Retirement Village in Queensland. And this was followed by a quantitative survey to validate the insights and hypotheses that we got from these one-on-one interviews. For this quantitative survey, we spoke to those that were in the active search and consideration stage, i.e. they are or have actively sought information on retirement living and made inquiries, including going to on-site visits, inquiring about finances, and actually making comparisons. And they expect to be living in a retirement living in the next 5 years. We also spoke to those who were at the beginning of their journey, i.e. they just started their retirement living search, but they expect to be living in retirement living within the next 10 years. And this sample of 270 people that we spoke to in the quantitative survey included a really good split or mix of the different age bands, in terms of there was about 30% that was aged between 50-year-old to 59 years old, another 30% between 60-year-old to 69 years old, and another 40% which was aged 70 or above. The people that took part in this research weren't just those who used realestate.com.au, but it was a representative sample of Australians aged 50 plus who expect to be in retirement living within the next 10 years. So to give you an overview of the steps that's involved in the retirement living customer journey, let me tell you about Tom and take you along his journey. So Tom is a retired school teacher who has spent most of his life teaching children. As he enters his golden years, Tom realizes that he needs to find a new living arrangement that can provide him with the care and the support that he needs while allowing him to maintain his independence. The first step in Tom's journey was the pre-trigger exposure. This actually happened a little while back. Tom had heard about retirement living options from his family or his friends who had either retired or are planning to retire soon. He also saw ads on television, in magazines, and even content articles on websites. At that time, he started to imagine what his retirement would look like and the different options that would be available to him. The search phase kicked in when Tom suffered a fall and realized that he needs more support than his current living options or his arrangements can provide him. He decided that it's time to start looking for a retirement living option that can meet his needs. At first, he was quite reluctant and resistant to the idea of moving to a retirement living community. He had lived in his current home for many years and is feeling quite attached to it. He felt that moving to a retirement living community would mean admitting that he needs help. He also felt overwhelmed and unsure of where to begin, where to start. But with time, he eventually came to accept that he needs a new living arrangement, and he starts the search process. The initial digital search step involved Tom researching the different options that's available to him. He used the internet to read about different retirement communities, their amenities, and their costs. He spoke with his family and friends to get the recommendations. He also looked at reviews from residents and their families to get an idea of what life in each of the community would be like. Tom then narrowed down his options and began shortlisting based on the criteria that were most important to him, such as cost, the location, and the available amenities. From that, he created a list of villages that he wanted to engage with further. The inquiring with developers came in next when Tom started visiting the retirement communities and talking to the representatives. He wanted to learn more about the specific options that's available to him and what each community had to offer. Finally, after much consideration, Tom weighs his options and follows through with the purchase. As you can see here, with the 7 steps that Tom has taken for his journey can actually be categorized or summarized into 3 stages. the pre-search, the initial stage search, the pre-search, the initial search, and the decision-making stage. So let's focus on the pre-search stage first. Retirement is often seen as a significant milestone in a person's life, marking the end of the working years and the beginning of their golden years. However, there are negative associations and cultural stigmas that's commonly associated with retirement, which can make the transition or even thinking about it make it difficult for many individuals. One of the negative associations that people have with retirement is the idea that it's the end of life. Retirement is a reminder that a person's life is nearing its end, which can be a difficult and emotional concept to accept. This can be particularly challenging for those who have dedicated their life to their work, and retirement can be seen as an end of a purposeful existence for them. Another negative association with retirement is the loss of independence and the reduction in activity. For many people, retirement means losing the ability to look after themselves, and the need for care can be an emotional decision. This loss of independence can be a significant change in their life, and it will take some time to adjust to. Declining health and well-being is also a significant concern for many retirees, as it is a sad reminder of the younger years. Financial constraint or financial strain is also a concern that many associate with retirement. The decrease in income combined with the rising cost of living can put financial strain on many individuals. This can create anxiety and worries about affordability. Many are worried about having to compromise on the quality of their living conditions or their lifestyles during retirement, or feel that they need to work longer or they need to delay their retirement so that they can maintain their standard of living. And we also found that these negative associations with retirement do increase when the target audience get closer and closer to their retirement age. As a result, these negative associations around retirement can also extend to perceptions around or about retirement living. And it can make it a challenge for individuals to consider retirement living as a viable living arrangement because of that. So one of the primary negative associations that they have with retirement living is the associations with nursing homes. Many people assume that retirement living villages and communities are going to be similar to nursing homes, high cost, high level of medical care and support needed, and also a loss of freedom. This creates an assumption that retirement living is going to be expensive and that's going to be unaffordable for them, which can make it seem like an unattainable dream for many individuals. The association with high level of medical care can be off-putting for those who are not yet ready to consider the need for significant medical care. And many people also assume that retirement living means losing their independence and being restricted in their everyday activities. Negative media and the poor reputation of aged care can also become a significant barrier to retirement living, in terms that it makes it difficult for individuals to feel that they can trust retirement living or as a viable living arrangement, or to trust the suppliers or the brands or the communities within that industry. Also, finally, a lack of clarity around the offerings or the options that's available. Many people are not clear about what retirement living entails and what options are available to them. So this lack of clarity makes it quite challenging for them to feel confident or to feel assured that they're making an informed decision about their living arrangements. And these negative associations that I've just spoken about can cause reluctance and actually delay in people's plannings for their retirement living until the very last minute, and which results in a limited planning, limited contemplation, and also active investigation. From our research, we also saw that only 15% of people have actively thought about retirement living before a trigger event occurs, whether that's a significant health issue, a financial stress, or the loss of a spouse or a partner. And since they aren't actively looking for information about retirement living prior to the trigger, their impressions or understanding of retirement living are therefore developed and could be even preset through their previous experience, through recommendations from family and friends, and also exposure to marketing. So previous exposures or experiences can be their personal experience, whether it's maybe when they were looking at retirement living options for their family members or hearing about it from their friends. And they're likely to start their search based on options and developers that they've been exposed to before. Similarly, recommendations from family and friends will shape their impressions of which retirement living options are likely to meet their needs and preferences, and will also act as a guidance for where they begin their search, or even which developers they should go speak to or engage with. In terms of marketing, exposure to marketing may influence which communities and developers are top of mind for them when they actually start their search process. We also found that the peak consideration of retirement living actually occurs during the age of 55 to 64, as this is the time where individuals may be more open to considering retirement living as a viable option. At this stage, individuals may be feeling more positive about retirement living, and they're interested in exploring the different options that's available to them. They may be looking to downsize or just wanting to simplify their life. They want to reduce their maintenance responsibilities or just to free up their time for more leisure activities. They also see retirement living to provide a range of benefits, such as access to social activities, support services, and a sense of community, which may be particularly appealing to individuals of this age group. But what we see is that as they get older, the demand to stay in the current home actually grows. This is because older individuals may have a stronger emotional tie to their homes and to their community, and they may be more resistant to change. Additionally, older individuals may be more comfortable with their current living arrangements and may not see the need to move to a retirement living community. Instead, they prefer to just stay where they are and age in place and receiving care and support when it's needed. So the age group of 55 to 64 would be the key window for marketing engagement and for building salience. Building awareness with prospective buyers when their consideration is higher and more favourable is important to staying top of mind when they're actually triggered to search and to purchase. Ways that you can engage with these prospective buyers within this window of opportunities should include harnessing existing customers as advocates for your business, and also clearly communicating the benefits of your retirement living options or offerings and how they differentiate from aged care or from nursing homes. Now, let's move on to the search stage. So eventually, individuals who are considering retirement living options will be prompted by triggers that lead them to actively consider their options and to start gathering information with the intent to actually make a move. These triggers can vary, some of which are within their control, and some of them are not within their control. But these triggers are often events or circumstances such as changes in health, financial circumstances, or personal relationships. When individuals are triggered, there's often a sense of urgency to begin the search process and make a decision quickly. For example, if an individual experiences a decline in their health or in their mobility, they may be prompted to consider retirement living options that offer the support and the care that they need. In this case, they may have an immediate need for a new living arrangement, and they may need to make that decision quickly. Similarly, changes in financial circumstances such as a decrease in income or an unexpected expenses, all of these may prompt individuals to consider downsizing and moving into a more affordable living arrangement. In this case, the individual may need to act quickly to avoid any financial stress or hardship. And as they begin their retirement living search, they tend to turn to the internet for information and guidance. One way they do this is by searching the specific retirement villages that family and friends have referred to them to, or the ones that they've seen in the past in that pre-trigger stage when maybe they were actively looking for someone else within their family. They may also search key terms such as lifestyle communities, retirement villages, and retirement communities to gain a better understanding of what's available in the market. Another way that they explore retirement living options online is by visiting specific developer websites of villages in areas that they want to live in, or searching on property panels such as realestate.com.au and retirementvillage.com.au. This helps them understand the unique features and amenities of what each village or community will offer and helps them narrow down their options. As you can see from this slide, digital plays a really strong role in prospective buyers search. We also know that the majority of Australians aged between 55 to 64 use the internet regularly. They spend around 27 hours per week online. They also use social media, with 60% of this age group using platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. And we also see that as the search progresses, so from early searching, moving on to shortlisting and evaluating, physical brochures also become more important in this phase in shortlisting and evaluating, as they can provide tangible information that can be stored and that can be reviewed and also shared with family and friends. When comparing retirement living options, cost and transparencies of pricings are critical factors across all stages of the searching journey. This is consistent across prospective buyers of all age groups. So regardless whether they are aged between 50 to 59 or 60 to 69 or even 70 plus, we see that cost and transparency of pricing to be their top considerations. So having clear pricing information is really important, as we also see that it does impact their behavior in terms of their search. 7 in 10 buyers aged over 50 plus are more likely to skip over a property if there's no price in the search results. 8 in 10 buyers aged 50 plus are more likely to prioritize a property that has a price when they're taking action. For example, making an inquiry or going to an inspection or going to the village for a visit. So making sure that you're providing as much information as you can will really keep you in the minds of prospective buyers and within their consideration set. So after costs, accessibility, the atmosphere, and reassurance in the providers are the next top considerations. Accessibility is important, as prospective buyers want to be close to amenities such as healthcare, public transport, and shops. They also want easy access to leisure activities and social events so that they can maintain an active and engaged lifestyle. For those aged 60 plus, being close to health and medical services is particularly important to them. Atmosphere, as I mentioned, is also important, as they want to live in a friendly and welcoming community, particularly the younger cohort of the target audience, those aged between 50 to 59. They want to feel at home. They want to be surrounded by people who share similar interests and values, and they also want access to facilities that encourage social interactions. Reassurance in the provider, that's also key, as they want to feel confident that they're going to be taken care of and their needs will be met. They want to know that the provider has a good reputation, is financially stable, and has a track record of providing quality care and services to its residents. So overall, as you can see, these themes reflect the desire for a supportive and comfortable lifestyle, with a focus on social engagement, access to amenities, and also a peace of mind in the provider. Finally, moving to the decision-making stage. While online searching acts as a method to identify and shortlist options, visiting the village in person is the key moment when they're fully evaluating whether it meets their preferences, their desires, and expectations, and they determine whether it is a viable option for them. Village visits allows them to fully immerse themselves in the experience. During the visit, they may fantasize about what their new lifestyle may be like and whether it will help them to stay active, engaged, and youthful. This could involve them envisioning themselves engaging in activities that's available in the communities, for example, gardening, socializing with others, or just enjoying the local scenery. Visiting a retirement living village also allows the buyers to form a view based on the features and the benefits of the community. They can see firsthand whether the gardens, the views, the amenities and services actually meet their needs and desires, but also whether it's something that they need to prioritize, whether it's something that's essential, or is it a nice to have, or is it not important to them at all. Another important factor that a village visit can provide is a sense of community. People want to know whether the village is a good fit for them and whether they'll be able to connect with like-minded individuals. So by interacting with the current residents, attending community events or activities, and even just observing the general atmosphere at the village, they will be able to develop a sense of whether the village would be a good social and a cultural fit for them. So during a village visit, while there may be excitement, there may be inspiration, there may be anticipation, there may also be anxiety and skepticism. While it's an opportunity for them to fantasize about their new lifestyle, it is also a time to scrutinize and to make sure the village does meet their needs and expectations. As the decision to purchase a retirement living house or a unit or an apartment becomes more real, buyers may start to feel anxious about making the right decision, and they worry about whether they're going to experience regret in the future. So the visit can actually bring up a lot of concerns around decision-making, but also around costs. Some people feeling uncertain about what is available and confused about the offerings and the different payment structures. Another challenge that people may experience during the site visit is the sales process itself. Some of the respondents we spoke to mentioned that they felt pressured by the salespeople when they were at the village, feeling pressured to purchase, and as a result, feeling skeptical about some of the information that's provided to them. So by providing simple and transparent communications on pricing models and reviewing your sales processes and experiences to focus more on providing guidance and support instead of a heavy sales message would be really important to increase consideration and appeal to the target audience. When it comes to deciding on a retirement living option, village staff who are friendly and supportive, makes them feel at home, provides a sense of belonging in the new living environment. All of those is important, as well as amenities that support their independence. For example, parking, that could be for themselves or for visitors, proximity to shops and healthcare facilities, and also proximity to public transport. These are all the amenities which they see as essential. Lifestyle amenities such as social activities, community gardens, communal space, health and leisure amenities are often considered to be nice to have and are less important in the decision-making process. There are some differences in the perceptions among the different age groups. For example, those aged between 50 to 59 are more interested in on-site restaurants and cafes, whereas those aged 70 plus are less interested in swimming pools. So considering which amenities to promote to different prospective buyers in your comms and during the village visits will be really important to make sure that you're resonating and appealing to the right person. Amenities such as dog park, being pet friendly, proximity to golf courses, tennis courts, and bowling greens are considered to be relatively less important compared to the amenities that I'd shown you on the previous two slides. And they're likely to appeal to a smaller or niche group of prospective buyers. Upon analysing the keyword search on our website, so on realestate.com.au, we found that there's a few features which are commonly sought after by users when they're searching for retirement properties. In particular, air conditioning, garage, and swimming pools were the most frequently used keywords along with retirement properties. This suggests that prospective buyers are placing importance on these features when they're searching for their ideal property. Other property specifications that prospective buyers may seek when they're searching for retirement living options include having a spare bedroom for family and friends to visit, but it can't be too big because that's going to require excessive housework or maintenance. The location of the laundry is also something that they consider. So the location of the laundry in relation to the living room, they want to make sure that it's easy access to this space. Having a study, because they may want to use it for pursuing new hobbies or just to stay active. As we saw with the keyword search, having a garage is also a popular request in terms of buyers want space to store their tools or their equipment that's related to their hobbies or their interests. Privacy is also another consideration or concern, with buyers seeking outdoor areas that offer seclusion from neighbouring properties. For example, they want to make sure that they're not looking into their neighbours' backyards. As I mentioned, outdoor spaces are important, with gardens often used for either for entertainment, for leisure, and also just for relaxation. Security features are something that they highly value, as they want to feel safe and secure in their homes. And finally, they may also look at finishings and design options that can improve accessibility. For example, maybe avoiding stairs or choosing a home that is going to be easier to maintain compared to others. As I mentioned earlier, the decision to purchase a retirement living options will become more real, and people start to feel more anxious and overwhelmed. This is because there are numerous factors for them to consider when they're making this type of decision or this type of investment. And they struggle to understand all of the different factors that come together, and they worry that they're going to make the wrong choice. In particular, for many prospective buyers, the payment and the cost structure can be particularly confusing and challenging to understand. They may struggle to grasp the concepts such as what do they need to pay upfront? What would they be paying later? Ongoing management fees, service fees, exit fees, and the ownership structure. Another concern is whether they'll be able to actually afford the retirement living options that they're considering. This can create further anxiety and worry, as they may not fully understand the ongoing costs associated with living in a retirement community. Additionally, the difficulty in comparing pricing structures between different communities or developers is also seen as a daunting task, as they may not know how to accurately compare the various options. The information they're getting from each one seems to be slightly different. Are they making a fair comparison? Are they understanding the information correctly? So this lack of understanding of the financial models and implications can actually become a barrier to purchasing a retirement living options, as people or the potential retirees don't feel empowered to understand the financial implications of moving into a village or a community. So to help overcome these concerns, making sure that you have simple and transparent communications on pricing models is really important. This may include offering personalized financial advice to potential buyers, or providing detailed breakdowns of all costs and fees associated with living in a retirement village or a community, and just making it easier to compare between different pricing structures across different communities, different developers. By addressing these concerns and providing clear, easy to understand information, we can help potential buyers feel more confident in their decision-making process and to reduce the anxiety about making the wrong choice and overcome the barriers to purchasing a retirement living option. And lastly, the role of family and friends and other experts within the retirement living journey. Unlike the decisions about aged care, family and friends don't play a major role in the decision-making of retirement living. The prospective buyer or the resident tends to be the main decision maker. So your selection of communication channels and your messages should be of those that resonate with the resident or the prospective buyer directly. Family and friends do play a role in the decision-making of retirement living in terms of providing referrals and providing advice in the search process. So building advocacy with existing customers and potential customers is important to keep your brand and villages front of mind for them. So today we have talked about how prospective buyers feel towards retirement living and how the search and decision-making journey can be a personal and emotionally provoking experience. But there are many opportunities for us in terms of how to engage with prospective buyers and how to support them through the journey. And these opportunities include building awareness with prospective buyers from a younger age when consideration is high and more favourable, so that we can stay top of mind when they're triggered to search and to purchase. Harnessing existing customers as advocates for your business, and like creating opportunities for residents to share their positive experiences with family and friends on social media or even on review platforms. Clearly communicating the benefits and differentiations of your retirement living offerings and creating a differentiation from nursing homes and from aged care. Focusing marketing messages on specific buyer needs and the motivations at each stage of the journey so that it's relevant and that it resonates with them. Providing simple and transparent communications on pricing models to help them understand the payment and cost structures. This include breakdown of upfront fees, ongoing fees, exit fees, service fees, and ownership. You can also help prospective buyers navigate through their journey by offering ways for them to experience your offerings before committing. For example, trials or short-term stays. This can help build trust and confidence in the decision to move into a retirement living community. Reviewing your sales processes and making sure that it's focused on providing guidance and support instead of a very heavy sales messaging to help reduce anxiety and to build trust in the decision-making process. Supporting buyers on their end-to-end journey and at each stage of the transition. This can include support for selling their existing home, helping them understand the financial implications, and also even helping them move into the village. And also lastly, focusing on the buyer, prospective buyer and the resident as the main decision maker, and ensuring that your channels and messages resonate with them directly. As I mentioned at the start of the presentation, I hope that the insights I've shared with you today have inspired new opportunities for you to consider or have given you more confidence in the strategies that you have got in place. Now I'd like to open up the floor for any questions that you may have. So I can see that there have been some questions that's been sent or submitted to me directly. Please feel free to continue submitting your questions. We do want to make sure that you leave this webinar feeling that you have a thorough understanding of the retirement living customer journey and the opportunities and the challenges that it presents. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions that you may have. Let me go through some of these questions. So we received a question from the Brisbane office in terms of any insights on the vertical or apartment or retirement living demographics. So for this, as I mentioned earlier at the start of this presentation, so this research did include people that were considering any types of retirement living options, whether that is houses, units, or apartments. We didn't look specifically at the different types of, in terms of whether it's apartments versus houses and units, but we would envisage that in terms of their process or the journey would be quite similar. More likely that the amenities would be something that they might differ, but we definitely could look at that after today and come back to you on it. Sure. I had also a question in terms of, do we have any stats on how many people tick the retirement living in the filter sections? Yes, we do. I think each month we have around 360,000 people who do use the filter in terms of when they're looking at properties and they're specifically specifying as retirement living properties. I've got another question, which is about how valuable is videos for this audience? Even though we didn't look specifically at the different types of media, but I think videos definitely would be valuable in terms of it'll bring to life to the targeted audience in terms of what the community is going to look like, what they're going to feel like. If they can't make it to the site visit, or even as something to a video is something that can access and to interest them, to engage them, to want to inquire, I definitely feel that videos would be of value. So another question is, with a target market of 3 million over the next 10 years, do you think we have enough retirement options to sustain this? Very good question. So at the moment, I think we have around 200,000 residents living in retirement living, and that's based on the latest census. As you can see, we've talked about that it's going to be 2.3 million over the next 10 years, but with only 200,000 that's currently living in there, and I think that's already at about like 90% occupancy. It does suggest that there is an opportunity to have more developments, to have more options available. And I do also know that within the next 3 years, there will be more developments coming out. I think there will be 11,000 new developments coming out in the next 3 years targeted to retirement living. And on average, I think there's about 100 units for each of these developments, which will probably take us to around a bit over 1 million units or availabilities for the target audience. But as we continue to see that the proportion of those aged 50 plus or 65 plus continue to grow, the need or the demand for retirement living options will continue to grow as well. So definitely the opportunity to have more. You mentioned property preferences. Is storage a big factor to this audience? Yes, in terms of it is something that they still consider. As I mentioned earlier, having a garage was something that a lot of the consumers we spoke to mentioned it was important to them. It's because even though they're accepting that they're downsizing from their current big homes, that they've got to get rid of things that they might no longer use or no longer need, there are still going to be things that they want to be able to access, still things that they want to be able to keep. So having sufficient storage for them to maintain some of the tools or equipment, whether it's for memories or whether it's for their hobbies, that will be something that's quite important to them as well. One of the slides said that 54% go and visit the village to get a feel of it. What was the response for the other 46? So that question was asked in terms of how many people have gone to the village as part of their process. So the 46% just said they haven't done that, or they don't intend to make that to take that step. So they may be making decisions based on what they're finding out about you online, or maybe through brochures that they may be able to receive in the mail. So making sure that you have media, or for example, some of the videos that we talked about earlier, that can help bring that all the fantastic things about the village to life, even without making a visit to the village, will be important. Some of these questions are related to actual usage of our website, which I don't have the data on me today, but we will take note of all these questions and who've asked them, and we'll come back to you after this webinar. We've also got one, which is, do you think realestate.com.au should have a separate website for the retirement audience, or or focus on creating a separate subsection for retirement on the current site? I think there's definitely opportunity to promote, I guess, create awareness that there is the special offering of retirement living options, whether that's a separate website or whether it's a separate section within the website. I think that will help people as part of their decision making, to be able to see what's the difference between a regular apartment that they might be looking to downsize to versus a retirement living apartment or a unit. So that would definitely help for those who may have preference or leaning more towards looking at a specific retirement living option. Another question related to our website and in terms of our marketing and targeting. Once again, these will be things that I do need to check with our data team, and we'll have to come back to you on it. Just make sure. Great. Okay. Just do a quick scan to make sure I haven't missed any other questions. As I mentioned, for any questions that have been submitted today but have not been addressed, we have noted them all down, and we will definitely follow up with you after this webinar. And for those who missed any part of today's webinar or would like to watch it again, the recording will be available on our Customer Marketing Centre and will be sent out to everyone in an email later this week. And for those who would like to get a full pack, I think one of the messages earlier was to say that please reach out to your account partner, and they will be sharing the pack with you. Finally, we would love to hear your feedback on this webinar. So at the end of this webinar, actually it's popping up right now, we would like feedback in terms of how valuable did you find this webinar. Please take a moment to share your thoughts and let us know how we can continue to improve and serve you better. But thank you all once again for joining us today, either in person in Brisbane or online. We hope to see you again at our future webinars and our events, and I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day.